there are no rules. I mean, these artists can do whatever it is that they want to do, and I think people have to stop putting these artists in boxes. Welcome to the Switch Style Podcast, where we encourage you to think beyond what you hear. I'm your host, Smooth, and joined as always by Vaughn and Riggs. Vaughn, what up?
What up? How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to see you as always.
That's right. Good to be seen.
Of course. Riggs, what up, man?
Man, ain't nothing. What's going on, everybody? It's good to be in the building.
Good to see you, man, as always.
And good to be seen.
Yeah, that Arby's was looking pretty good, man.
Boy.
Yeah, shout out to Arby's.
Shout out to Arby's and the Reuben.
We do accept all endorsement deals,
That's
Arby's.
right, that's right.
So Arby's representatives, if you are listening, we do accept those. But glad to see you guys, of course, as always. And audience, glad to see you or hear you, or we can't do either one of those, but glad you're back.
Right.
So welcome back to episode 51.
51.
And we got a really great show for you coming up. So we're actually going to talk about Drake's More Life playlist. It's not billed as an album. It's actually called a playlist. And we'll get into that more later on in the show. But before we actually review Drake's More Life playlist, we'll actually update the charts for you, let you know what's coming out this Friday, March 24th. And we're actually going to talk about a music legend, music icon and innovator, a guy who completely changed music forever. And that guy's Chuck Berry. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Riggs, what were your thoughts on Chuck Berry?
Man, definitely, like you say, a blues legend. He did it his way, the way he wanted to do it. He didn't play too many games. He had a lot of respect from everybody, and he handled his own money well. So I mean, he had some little strange things going on for a while, but he's human. But he's definitely somebody to admire and to look at and watch his movements, and if you're on the come up, to see how to handle yourself in the industry.
And before we go to Vaughn, audience, I do want to give you an update on what happened. So if you're not aware, Chuck Berry, rock and roll legend, not just rock and roll but music in general, he actually passed this past Saturday, March 18th, 2017, outside of his hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. According to reports, he died of natural causes. They're not going to do an autopsy. He was 90 years old. His real name is Charles Edward Anderson. So you know that he was born October 18th in 1926 in the aforementioned St. Louis. And a lot of his biggest hits include Maybelline, Roll Over Beethoven, Johnny B. Good, Sweet Little 16, which he actually won a copyright suit with the Beach Boys over later on in his career. And he was a member of the first class inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, in 1986. He achieved the Grammy Lifetime Award, and he performed for both Clinton inaugurations, well, the first inauguration, and when he was reelected the second time. And Chuck Berry, he's a complete legend. But Vaughn, I'll go to you. What were your thoughts on Chuck Berry?
Well, I don't know too much about Chuck Berry. He was way before my time. But I do know a couple of his songs as I was listening to the place. I was like, oh, yeah. So it brought me back. And especially my Ding-a-ling song. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And, of course, I remember him from Run, Rudolph, Run. That how many times that done been played in something, a commercial or something. So, yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, he definitely is. And audience, it's really, I won't say it's hard to put in words how huge this guy was, but he changed the sound of rock and roll forever. I think there's two different ways you can look at it. Elvis, he was the guy that changed the way rock and roll looked forever. Rock and roll more so became known as a white genre, predominantly made by white people. It was started by black people. If you look at Muddy Waters, the Everybody Out of Chess, Willie Dixon and Bo Diddley, Howlin' Wolf, all of those. And
right, the roots were definitely blues and early, rock and roll recordings by, the black artists. Even Elvis, he, a lot of people talk kind of bad about him because really he just copied what we did and the dances and everything, and then, put it out to white audiences, and they loved him. But he was a really good artist. But Chuck Berry, that's the root.
Yeah, Chuck Berry is the root. I mean, he changed the way the guitar was played, the way the lyrics are written, and he just expanded what rock and roll could be. And I think I saw this quote over the weekend, and John Lennon, he said it best. if you were going to give rock and roll another name, you might call it Chuck Berry. And if you hopefully you know who John Lennon is. He's 1/4.
Of course.
Yeah, 1/4 of the Beatles. He's been gone a long time, but John Legend is not John Legend. John Lennon. He's one of the most respected artists of all time. And if you talk to the Rolling Stones, if you talk to anybody in Led Zeppelin, the Beach Boys, they will tell you that, like Rick said, Chuck Berry was the beginning, and they all borrowed from what he did. So,
And if you've seen Back to the Future, you know a little bit of Chuck Berry.
yeah, Marvin Berry, his cousin Marvin Berry said he found that sound for him.
Mm-hmm.
So rest in peace, Chuck Berry. And audience, just one thing I want to tell you guys before we leave, Chuck Berry, he was actually working on his last album before he died,
What?
titled Chuck.
Wow.
It was expected to drop this year, but the family, they're actually gonna expedite things and put it out a lot sooner.
Yeah, they've been waiting for that last album for a good minute. I don't remember what award show that was where he was talking about he was gonna drop an album, and the one that they've been waiting for. So I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And from what I hear, it's mostly original music. So I'm excited to hear what he's doing at 88, 89, 90 years old. So, but rest in peace, Chuck Berry. And, we would like to send our condolences to his family and loved ones. Any other thoughts on Chuck?
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace again, Chuck. And we'll actually start the show. Well, we started the show, but we'll move on to what we normally do. But before we start the show, audience, we would love to hear from you. We would love your feedback, some comments, or if you just want to go listen to us, you can find us on iTunes. You can go to Google Play Music. You can go to SoundCloud. You can even find us on YouTube. And you can find us everywhere, all at Switch Style Podcast. And also, you can follow us on Facebook,
Instagram,
and
Twitter.
All right, so let's go ahead and start the show. So, audience, we'll actually update the charts for you, and we got a lot of great stats for you on the charts, as always. So, here we go. On the Billboard 200, a guy we talked about a couple weeks ago, Ed Sheeran, he actually scores his second consecutive week at number 1 with Divide, earning 180,000 units, 87,000 in traditional album sales. Any thoughts on Ed?
We've been saying that he's super talented, simply talented, not, extremely wordy, but just the right amount of everything to be able to identify with array of people. So got like a world music sound. So it's a good album.
And at number 3, the Beauty and the Beast soundtrack arrives, earning 57,000 units, 48,000 in traditional album sales. So I'm not a fan. The movie when it came out, I was 4 years old.
Go Beauty and Beast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let the world know a little bit about Riggs' sensitive side. Riggs likes Beauty and the Beast.
Did you see the new one?
Not yet. I can't wait to, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But I used to watch with my daughter all the time.
And they actually earned 170 million at the box office in their opening week. 170 million. That's the biggest.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's the biggest opening for March ever domestically, and worldwide they pulled in 350 million.
Wow.
Worldwide.
I'm not surprised.
So, audience, the soundtrack, it's actually an accessory to the movie, the live action movie, which, as I mentioned earlier, came out in 1991, Disney film. One of the first big ones, really. Which came first, that one or Lion King?
I'm pretty sure Beauty and the Beast.
Well, congratulations to the Beauty and the Beast, everybody involved in the making of that. And also, on the Hot 100, Ed Sheeran again. Guess who? He earns an 8th week at number 1 with The Shape of You. And keep an eye on Bruno Mars, That's What I Like, which hits number 2 this week.
I'm glad he's still charting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a hot song.
That's a monster album.
A lot of people are interested in Bruno Mars, and Bruno Mars is one of our highest played shows. Like, that show keeps growing each and every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bruno Mars is killing it. And I think, well, right now when he debuted last year in November, he sold nearly 800,000 up until this point. So he'll go platinum at some point, and it looks like he might have a number 1 hit next week.
That's what's up.
So congrats to Bruno. And just a few quick facts for you, or some quick stats, but these might change at some point in the future. Atlantic Records, they hold the top 2 spots on the Hot 100 at the same time since 2011. So Bruno Mars and Ed Sheeran are both signed to Atlantic Records. And Atlantic, they last achieved that feat February 19th of 2011 when Wiz Khalifa's Black and Yellow and Bruno Mars's Grenade set at number 1 and number 2.
Okay, both times with Bruno.
And more recently, if you're just interested, it was last done February 13th, 2016 when Justin Bieber's Love Yourself and Sorry set at number 1 and number 2. And he did it for Republic Records. And Audience, Weeknd and Ariana Grande are also signed to Republic Records. So they got a really good roster. So that's it for On the Charts. You guys have anything else? All right. So let's jump into what's new.
What is new?
Yeah, this will actually be real quick. So this Friday, March 24th, look out for new albums from Trey Songz. He's back with Tremaine. And James Blunt. He's back with The Afterlove. You guys excited about either one of those?
I'm interested in seeing what Mr. Trey Songz talking about. And I had to look up James Blunt. And I was like, oh, you're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Riggs, what about you?
Not particularly. I'm not mad at either one, you know. I hope they both have good albums, but neither one are artists that I'm, sit up waiting for. Hopefully they change that.
Yeah, we'll see. And Trey Songz, he's actually, hopefully he beats this case that he's fallen into. He was performing at Detroit, and according to reports, the police were telling him, hey, you need to wrap it up. You need to get off stage. Your time is up. And according to reports, he was throwing mics and throwing stuff off the stage at police and the crowd. And he didn't take the plea deal, so I think his trial is actually set for September.
What?
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Mr. Songz.
Oh, God. Children.
Yeah, he'll probably get off. He has the money and he can hire lawyers. So,
but my whole thing is don't do stupid stuff. Like, really, don't do stupid stuff that's gonna cost you money. I know maybe because I'm just an ordinary person. I try not to speed because I know I can't afford a speeding ticket. I try not, So don't do stuff if you know they watching you. They're gonna.
Yeah, you're right. That's just sense, though. I don't even think you have to be rich to live by those rules. Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of cameras. I don't know, what too much he's going to get away with, You're going to ask him, do you throw the mic? And he's going to say, yeah.
Yeah. And these are reports, audience. Keep in mind, these are reports, and this is what I've read. And as soon as the trial happens, because he didn't take the plea deal at all, so once the trial happens, they could clear his name. So we'll see what happens.
We shall see.
Yeah, because I wasn't there, and who knows. But look out again for Trey Songz. He's back with Tremaine, and James Blunt is back with The Afterlove.
Are you looking forward to them?
Not really. I like Trey Songz.
Me too. I guess he's been off the scene for a minute, I guess.
Yeah, so. He has, which was a good thing. I think he was kind of heading down that direction that Drake is heading down now. He completely oversaturated the market, in my opinion, and he took a much needed break. But that's just me. I can't tell. He's his own man. He's his own artist, and he can put out as much music as he wants to. A lot of it ended up being mediocre at best, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. But I like Trey Songz. I got all his albums.
They got a few. And
the women love Trey Songz, so Trey Songz can help you out in a certain areas, fellas, if you know what I'm talking about. See, y'all hear Vaughn? All right, so let's actually jump into this Drake More Life playlist review.
All right, because it's definitely a playlist.
Yeah, it's a playlist. Yeah.
A 24 playlist.
22.
No, 22. Look,
yeah, 20.
And 2 more.
That's long enough. Yeah, we definitely don't need more.
Yeah, 22, I mean.
Normally, we like to give you a quick bio, but chances are, if you're listening to this, you're familiar with Drake. You know who Drake is, and you know what he's done. You know that his real name is Aubrey Graham, and he was born in October, and he goes by Six God, Mr. OVO, and all these other names. So
where have you been?
Right. We don't want to bore you with all that. So what we plan to do is recap his last year, and it might be maybe more 9 or 10 months. Drake's last album, Views, it was released April 29th, 2016, and earned 1.04 million units in its first week. 852,000 of those were traditional album sales. And audience, keep all this in mind because we're actually going to use some of these stats later on in the review.
Okay.
Views also became Drake's 6th consecutive #1 album, following What a Time to Be Alive, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, and Thank Me Later. Views spent 12 weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200 and was RIAA certified 4 times multi-platinum in December 2016. And the RIAA is the Recording Industry Association of America. They're the group that gives out those platinum certifications and gold as well. All 20 tracks on Views, they charted on the Hot 100 all at once, which is still the most any act is posted in 1 week. And that's gonna change next week when every track on More Life charts. So Drake earned his first #1 as the lead artist as One Dance featuring Wizkid and Kyla set atop the Hot 100 for 10 weeks. So audience, I know it's getting kind of long, but Drake had a really good year last year. He did a whole lot.
Real good year.
Yeah, I got about 6 more things to tell you. So he was also featured on Rihanna's Work, which set at #1 for 8 weeks. He earned a record 13 American Music Award nominations, and he broke Michael Jackson's 32-year record. He also took on 4 awards at that show. And according to Polestar Pro, this one probably shocked me the most. Drake and Future Summer 16 tour is the highest grossing hip hop tour of all time, grossing $84.3 million over 56 dates.
Wow.
And the previous high was actually Jay-Z and Kanye West's Watch the Throne tour, grossing $75.6 million over 63 dates in 2012. And I got a few more. In September of 2016, Views became the first album to collect 1 billion streams on Apple Music. We'll talk about that more in a second. 1 billion streams. I mean, he's put up numbers. He was also named Spotify's most streamed artist of 2016, earning 4.7 billion streams. And in February 2017, Drake scored 8 Grammy nominations and won 2 for Hotline Bling, which also hit #2 on Billboard's Hot 100. And right now he's wrapping up the remaining dates of his Boy Meets World tour, which actually ends the 22nd and 23rd. So it ends this week, and he's actually in Glasgow, Scotland.
Wow.
Yep. So that's Drake's last 9 to 12 months, all rolled in one. I know that was a lot to take in.
And he released an album.
Yeah. another album, playlist, whatever you want to call it.
And he released another playlist.
Yeah.
Within this year, a month shy of Views.
It's a lot. So let's talk about the release. Let's go ahead and jump into that. The actual, how they released the album themselves. And audience, if you don't know, the album was actually premiered on OVO's Sound Radio on Apple Music. It's actually Drake and Oliver L. Khatib's show. And he's actually Drake's manager, for those who don't know. So Vaughn, what about you? How did you feel about the way they released it?
Well, it took me a while to download it. So I guess they have a plan. They know what they're doing for sure. So I guess we'll see what the numbers are next week. But I couldn't download it. It took me a while for it to come up. And I have Apple Music. And I'm saying like, okay, why it's not downloading? After a couple of times. But I think that they're real smart at what they're doing. And just like he reached those numbers last time, I think he have a good chance of reaching them again.
The album was released at 6:30 on Saturday night. Normally, most albums are released on Friday.
Right.
So for Drake to pull together so many different people within a short time span, because we knew the album was coming out. We just didn't know when it was actually coming out. But he put the post on Instagram, I think it was about less than 2 weeks ago, saying that it's coming out. And he actually played the entire album on their Beat show at 6:30 p.m. And the album is an hour and 22 minutes long. So to get people to sit there for that long and listen to an album and actually get people there, that's what I'm probably tripping about, because it reminds me of radio in the past. That was the only way you could really experience music. And he took it back there. I won't call the release innovative, but it's a creative way to release music in this climate, in my opinion. So he released it. They played the entire album. Then they released it to Apple Music. Vaughn had some issues, but it was made available for purchase and streaming. So I think the entire release was pretty creative, in my opinion. And I think somebody of his caliber is only capable of doing something like that. It kind of reminded me of Lemonade's release.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. And everybody was sitting and waiting.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, to get people to sit down on a Saturday night, and especially the majority of his fan base, who I would guess the demographics are probably,
They getting ready to party.
yeah,
18
maybe.
to 30.
So I think it just shows the type of power and the type of marketing
15.
savvy that him and Oliver have, and Oliver L. Khatib, who is his manager, who I think he's to Drake what Maverick Carter is to LeBron James. And if you don't know who Maverick Carter is, audience, go look up Maverick Carter. He's a great businessman. But Riggs, let me ask you this. Why do you think he decided to put his daddy on the album cover?
Boy, well, it's definitely an eye catcher. I mean, the headline alone
Yeah.
make you look at the album twice. And then, the whole fake love thing, I guess he's got issues with his daddy, he put it out on blast. And that's pretty smart too, honestly, because when you put personal things for people to see, that they connect with you. So it's a brilliant move.
Vaughn, what about you?
Man, he look like a little pimp sitting in his wicker chair.
He does.
Who's the Shogun of Harlem?
Right. He does. Show enough.
He's sitting there probably writing a love letter.
And it's funny, I saw a meme, and I don't know how they do this stuff, but they actually had his hands moving, like, because there's
real?
he has like a pen and a pad in his hand, and they actually set it up so his hands were actually writing on the paper, and I don't know how they do this stuff. I mean, I guess what
So
they say.
creative.
Yeah, the internet is undefeated.
Well, I just think he, that's what he gonna look like.
I agree. We were talking about this earlier.
That's what he gonna look like. That's guys always say, you look at the mama, that's how you gonna look. Well, look at your daddy, that's how you gonna look.
Right, that's Drake in, the next 40 years.
Right.
And, if Drake does have kids, they can ask him, Daddy,
Right,
we didn't know you made an album
Right.
last week.
right.
They could tell him that, but I just think it was a great way to immortalize his dad. Because his dad, and I got to shout him out, his dad is from Memphis, Tennessee. His uncle is actually Willie Mitchell. Well, was, because Willie Mitchell is no longer alive. But his uncle is Willie Mitchell, and Willie Mitchell is the owner of High Records, or was, which actually housed or discovered Al Green.
Oh, okay.
So in High Records, I actually probably grew up maybe less than, I don't even think it was 15 minutes from High Records. It's a lot of history, and Drake's dad was an aspiring musician himself, and a lot of the things that his son is doing, he never got to do.
Right.
So I just think it's a way of immortalizing his dad, and because his dad actually put out a single last year.
Yeah.
He put out a single last year, and he unfollowed a bunch of people on Instagram because they didn't go buy a single. So he got mad. I guess him and his son, they both have that in common. So Vaughn, why do you think he decided to drop something so soon? I mean, like you just said, if views hadn't even been out an entire year.
Well, I think Drake knows stay hot and stay relevant while you can. Hey, and when you hot, keep it hot. That's in the midst of women and all. Keep going. And like he's rapping on the playlist, he just saying like, he hungry. He gotta eat. Like, so he know what to do. I guess he said, I think one of the lines, don't quote me, but he said like, I'm not gonna stop until I'm not even 40 yet. I'm not stopping. Like,
Right.
So he know what to do.
Yeah, and I think the line was, he was like, I'm not trying to wait till
Wait till
40 to
40
be rich.
Right. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to wait to be 40 to be rich. Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Right there. So I mean, he can rest when he 40.
Right. And I agree with him. Riggs, what about you?
I take personal offense because I'm over 40 and I'm not rich, but
Oh, come on, man.
I'm working on it.
That's right.
I mean, I actually did like that line. You know what I mean? It's good to see a young dude that's out there just doing what he loves, doing it well, and getting paid early. You don't gotta wait to get the convertible till you 50. You know what I'm saying? And your hair's blown in the wind and half falling out. You
Right.
know? So hey,
That's what you got to look like.
Oh, who's the baddest mofo around town? Low
Right.
down.
I'm
Yeah.
pointing to his dad.
Yeah, that's what he
Picture
gonna look
guys.
like.
But it's cool.
And he's not a real flashy type of person.
I don't know,
I don't know
'cause
about that.
You really never
I mean, you don't never see him or like
right. I think the bigger he gets, the more isolated he becomes, and it's that's well within reason. And I think that should happen to everybody who's on his level.
That's kind of what his mama talk about. Like he feels some kind of way and want to isolate himself, but she's telling him not to.
And me honestly, I don't blame him, because I'm gonna be honest with you now. If I become rich and famous, I'll rather wealthy and famous.
Right.
Y'all won't see me. Y'all will never see me.
You'll be up in the house somewhere.
Probably.
But not me. I would think I'll pretty much be the same. Like I have no desire to drive like a Lamborghini. I'm like 6'6". I'm not trying to modify it. I'm not trying to go down to the ground and get in it.
Yeah, you can't get in
I
there.
have no interest at all in that. I actually like my little truck that I got right now. I might put some tins on it.
Yeah.
So silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just never seen him like real flashed out. Like, like even seeing him at the game. I saw something when he was at a game. He looked normal. Like he not that, and because because he does not portray that, he probably like you said, when he turned 40, that's when he gonna chill. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, he don't got time for all that.
Yeah, but you got to think things a little different. Like for him, like, okay, he looked regular, but the regular T-shirt that he got on cost $500. The regular jeans that he got on cost $1,000.
And you're right.
The regular Jordans is like $500 or better.
Right.
So I mean,
But I'm just saying,
the
like,
watch,
yeah,
but I mean,
like
but see,
chained out. Like,
well, it's not. He's not that type of dude. I wouldn't say it's not flashy, because he has kind of two sides of things. I think his level of class may be a little different.
So, like saying, like when you say that, Birdman, yeah, his class is way different than his class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I guess to simply put it, Drake doesn't flaunt his wealth or the fruit of his labor.
At least not in that way.
Right.
Not with chains and stuff.
So
he
like
talk about it
Birdman,
plenty.
you could tell he got rings. Or you know what I'm saying? Like you could tell he wears his money. Well, but look where he's from. You see what I'm saying? So he,
Put it like this.
put it down.
Somebody who has real money, generational money, you'll know it because you see him in the front row. You'll know it because of the way maybe their suit or the shirt is cut. But do they have on a lot of rings and watches and stuff? They have to have on one watch that costs a ridiculous amount of money, and it may look super regular. But if you know and you see it and you know what that is, then you're like, oh, that's $500,000 right there.
Right.
So
That's if you know.
right. So I think Drake is one of those type of dudes where like
If
he's
you
got
know.
all that. You just have to know. And when he goes
Be in the know.
when he goes to the valet to get his car, he's pushing something stupid.
Yeah.
So he flashed just as much as everybody else. I just think his way is a little bit more so on the Jewish side of his family instead of maybe the black.
But back to the question, him
I'm
releasing an album
I'm sorry.
less than 12 months after Views. The reason that I think he might have done it, and Vaughn, you said it. I mean, he's hot, and you can hear it on this album. He has a sense of urgency that I hadn't heard from him in probably 5 years, maybe. He's taking advantage of the spotlight because there's only a finite amount of time. He's only going to be hot for so long, and I think you have to capitalize on it. But I think Drake has done it at the expense of quality music, and I'll get to that in a second. Go ahead, Rick Jackson.
I mean, honestly, I think he should put out 2 albums a year. I think he should put out an album like the albums that he's been putting out, because as far as money goes, it's wildly successful. He's making money hand over fist. But he's got to make some albums where not he's got to, but I would hope he would just go ahead and make some albums where he's just going hard and he's spitting. An album that a dude could put in their car and just let it play. Be like, oh wow, with the eyes of did you hear what he said? These albums not so much.
I don't think you'll ever get that again, be honest. And he's exploring what he does musically. He obviously likes to sing.
Yes, he does.
I'm not even mad at that.
He sings a lot, but honestly, I just don't.
He does it better than others.
And I think he's capable of putting together a really great album. And I think if you combine this album and Views, take the 12 to 15 best tracks out of 42 of them, you might have a really good album. But I don't know if he's concerned with a certain quality of music anymore.
He obviously is not. I mean, it's like we were talking before the show. Whose lane is he in? Is he in with Lil Wayne's lane, or is he in Rihanna's lane? Like, to be honest, like, he'll win awards for a rap album, but it's not like really a rap album. It's a pop album with some rap on it. So I would like to hear a Drake rap album.
You're not the only one. I know a lot of people would. And I hope he does rap again. He raps on what, out of the 22 songs, maybe 8 to 10 of them that he actually raps on. And we'll see what happens in the future. I hope he does put something else out. But Riggs, let me ask you this. Is this playlist more about Drake himself or all of the artists featured?
I think it is. I think it's about both. I think a lot of times good artists like to have a vision and not always be in the front. So I think he has a vision. He has a direction that he's going in. And like some of the tracks, like he'll sing on more than he'll rap and let somebody else rap more, which is cool. Like the album with Kanye, because Kanye kills that song. And I mean, Drake spits on it too, and his rhyme is hot, but he does more singing on it than anything else. So it's cool. And I guess it's the way you listen to the album, because the way I listen to it for rap. I really didn't listen to it for R&B and pop. So that's what kind of throws me off. But I guess maybe if I was listening to it for just R&B and pop, I guess I might like it.
I think that's the key. I talk about it all the time, expanding your mind. I think we as journalists, critics, just people in general, I think we have to stop putting artists in a box as to what we want to hear from them. Drake is an artist and he has to express himself, and I'll defend him in that way. I mean, he's been placed under the hip hop category, but that doesn't mean that he always has to continue to put out rap albums. I mean, he's free to express himself. Like, and I said it on the sample review, there are no rules. I mean, these artists can do whatever it is that they want to do, and I think people have to stop putting these artists in boxes. Drake he can do whatever it is that he want to do, and I just think you have to adjust your expectations. You can't expect a complete rap album from Drake anymore, because you're never gonna get it.
Oh, right. I mean, well, that's pretty much why I was like, I wish he would do 2 albums a year, maybe, because I would like to hear, Drake
one
rap album.
and one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But Vaughn, what about you? How did you feel about the playlist? Is it more about Drake himself or the artists on it?
To me, a playlist, it features other people, and it's just not solely about you. It's about other people too. So he got with some of the baddest people in the industry, and they made a record together. So it showcased him, and it showcased them too. So, and show how versatile he is. Like you said, he rapped, he sung, he had some R&B. I mean,
I like that it shows that he listens to different types of music.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with hip hop these days. I was watching this episode of Snoop's show, and he was sitting with G Unit, 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Yayo, and I don't think Young Buck was on. I don't know if he messes with them anymore.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think,
But Snoop and 50 and G Unit, they were having this conversation about how every rapper sounds the same, and they showed this clip, this montage of every rapper, and you had Migos, you had Future, you had Ray Shrimmer, Gucci Mane, you even had guys from overseas, and they all used the same flow, the same cadence,
and rapping about the same
thing.
Absolutely nothing.
Right. And Drake's rapping has, fallen off to a certain extent, but I appreciate the fact that he listens to music and he was willing to share his platform with all these other artists, because there's a lot of great artists that I never heard of on this playlist that I'm probably about to be big fans of now. So that's what I like about Drake, and
he's sharing the love.
Yeah, he shares the love, and he's put on so many people, especially from Toronto himself. I mean, that umbrella of producers from T-Minus to 1985 to Boy Wonder to 40 to, even Party Next Door to The Weeknd. I mean, there's so many producers and artists that have come up under him from Toronto, or that he shouted out. And even a guy like Sampha. I mean, I know y'all still not big Sampha fans, but
Sampha's cool with me.
Let me tell you, that Sampha, what is it?
4422.
4422. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I knew about Sampha, because before I was just listening to it, wasn't paying attention who was on what. I said, that sound like Sampa. And once I finished listening to the whole playlist, I went back and was looking at, I said, that was him. So I'm glad I experienced Sampa and I knew who he was. So that was a very good experience for me.
Good. And it's funny, Sampa got a whole song.
A whole song.
Sampa got a whole song. Guy named Skepta. I think Skepta is actually out of the UK. Skepta, he's out of London as well. He's big in the grime scene. Grime, that's actually the London rap. So Skepta, he's big over there, but there's a bunch of artists that he put on.
And I think he just was like, okay, let me give you the people I mess with. All these people, they good. Hey, you never know. He might be coming out with some rap for you.
Yeah, you never know.
This just the playlist.
Yeah, it's just a playlist.
It's just a playlist.
Drake is inspired by so many people, and you can hear it in the music. But Vaughn, let me ask you this. Does he sound more motivated on this album to you?
Yes. I think he put out who he is. He talking about some real stuff. He was rapping about some real stuff. He's singing about some real stuff. So I think it did. It was very much motivation for him. And all I can say is you can't wait to see what's going to come up next.
I think he sounds more motivated than ever, and he actually tells you on Do Not Disturb that look out for 2018. I would love to, hopefully Drake, maybe he'll take this summer off and actually regroup and, put together some really good music, because I think he's very capable of an all-time great album. I think he only has maybe really one good album. I don't throw the classic word out there, but I think he has one really good album in Take Care that probably stands among some of the best albums of all time. And I think he still needs that to validate himself, because right now, when I think about Drake, I think of the numbers more so than I do his music these days. And
I'll agree with that.
Well, since we're talking about numbers, let me tell you some of his numbers. And we talked about Ed Sheeran a couple weeks ago and all the streaming records that he broke.
Right.
And Drake has broken all of those records already. On Apple Music alone, all of the songs on More Life were streamed collectively a total of 89.9 million times in the first day.
Which was Saturday. That's why I couldn't get in.
And yeah, that's why you couldn't.
That's why I couldn't get in.
On its first full day. Spotify.
Sunday.
Yeah,
It's
March
Sunday.
19th.
Okay.
And Spotify actually reported that the songs collected 61.3 million global streams.
Wow.
So that's I mean, he's broken Ed Sheeran's records already. But that's what I think about Drake. When I think about him, I think about the numbers more so these days.
And that's just like, you always want to know who in my playlist. Well,
Yeah.
This is who's in Drake's playlist.
Right. I like the idea. I like the concept of it. That's why I really can't judge this as a proper Drake album, because it's not billed that way.
Right.
If it was a Drake album, maybe I might be a bit more harsh on him.
Right.
But this was, as it says, a playlist by the October Firm or an October Firm. I have to look at exactly what the cover says. But Vaughn, what were some of your favorite features?
Sampa. I like that song. Black Coffee and what's the young lady name? Georgie Smith. Travis Scott. I like that. 2 Chainz and Young Thug. Kanye West. Oh, that one. I love that one. So I loved all those. It seemed like all of the features were good features. They were all good features.
Yeah, they were. Briggs, did you have any favorites?
I like Sacrifices. That was cool. Can't Have Everything, even though it wasn't a feature thing. That was good. That's probably, I don't know, might be my favorite song. Between that and Glow. Glow was real good. Kanye killed that song.
Yeah, he did.
Of course, Fake Love has been out for a minute, but that's a good song. Those are the ones I like. I wasn't really feeling the Gigs do too much.
The who?
Gigs.
Oh, Gigs.
Yeah, Gigs was on a couple
Gigs
songs.
and Reed.
Yeah, Gigs was actually on
No
No
Relation.
Long Talk.
No relation.
Like Uncle Ruckus, no relation.
Yeah, Gigs is actually out of the UK as well. He's on No Long Talk and KMT. But for me, my favorites were Get It Together. That was my favorite song. That's
a good song. That's a good song.
And the guy who actually helped him out on that one is Black Coffee. He's a producer and DJ from South Africa, who I will be checking out more of his music. It was actually a remake of Black Coffee's song Superman. So Drake remade that one. I like Passion Fruit. He opened up the album with Free Smoke. When I heard Free Smoke, I thought maybe he is gonna rap on this album. So
I like the beginning, the young lady singing. We don't know who was that was singing. We don't know who.
Nah, I'll find it in a
I like
second.
the opening of that.
Madiba Rhythm, that's another one that I really like.
I like that one too. Mm-hmm.
Sacrifices was a good one.
Sacrifice, 2 Chainz and Young Thug. Mm-hmm.
I actually like Young Thug on that one. I haven't listened to a lot of Young Thug's music, but that's probably the best verse that I've heard from him out of his commercial stuff and the features that he's done. But I actually understood what he was saying on that one. So, I like that one. Glow, of course, one of my favorite artists of all time, Kanye West. Since way back, Party Next Door was on that one. And him and Party Next Door, they always put together these really interesting ballads. I think they sort of sit in that same mood or tempo. I guess they have this certain kinship when it comes to that. And Do Not Disturb, the last one on the album, I think he actually gave you a preview of what's about to come in 2018. Maybe. We'll see. But overall, I mean.
Did you like Lose You?
Yes.
I like
Lose You was a good one. Yeah, there's probably about half of the album or playlist. Half of the playlist. I got to stop using the word album. But half of the playlist is pretty good, I thought. Vaughn, you have any more favorite songs?
I think you kind of. What's this Gladys? What's that?
Galchester.
I like that one. Blame. I like that one.
Yeah, Lil Wayne was on that one. Sound like he was finna smoke on that one at the end of it.
Did you get a kind of Jamaican kind of flow, like No Long Talk? Like, I don't know why. Like, it sounded like he was Jamaican or something.
Yeah, there was 2 songs.
Yeah.
They kind of did that. In.
Yeah, I kind of got.
But to me, he did it kind of badly. But
as much as he's done, as big of a star as he is, I still don't think he's found himself musically or really figured out who he wants to be musically. And I think it's evident. He doesn't know if he wants to rap. He doesn't know if he wants to sing. He doesn't know if he wants to be from South Africa or the UK. I mean,
right.
I think Drake is still trying to figure things out, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Right.
I think there's a lot of interesting stuff on this album, but I think the point was to expose you to some people that you hadn't heard before.
And different genres. Yeah, so that way you can hear a different type of music. And because guess what? If we hadn't did the sample, I probably wouldn't have known about sample. But I did. So, yeah, and a couple of the other ones I didn't know about. But that should be what your art should be. Taking it over on different sides and bringing new things, enlightening people on things that they might not never.
Exactly. You said it. And I think it goes back to what I say at the beginning of every show. Think beyond what you hear. Expand your horizons. And I think that's what Drake is doing, because most of Drake's fans, they don't listen to a lot of the stuff that's found on this album. They've never heard, and I hadn't heard of a lot of these people. So, it's good to experience something new. And I think if you take away anything from the album, forget how you feel about it personally or anything like that. The idea was to expose people to new music. So if you take away anything, take away that. Vaughn, will you recommend this album to a friend?
I would. Check it out. I think it's a little bit of something in there for everybody.
I agree. Riggs, what about you?
When I heard this album, I don't know, my main thought was, I wonder how Rick Ross' album sound.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I probably would not recommend this album. Me personally, I really didn't want to say much because I don't like being so negative. I want to be a hater, but it just
speak your mind. Let the rest
it didn't do much for me.
I think this is a case where Drake's past has worked against him. If Views was a better album, I think the level of anticipation would have been a lot higher. People probably would have gone in with an open mind, but with Views doing what it did, a lot of people would consider it a disappointment.
Well, the numbers didn't disappoint.
No, they didn't. They definitely didn't. I mean, and that's the thing. We might not like it, but a lot of people out there liked it.
Oh, hey, yeah. I can dig it.
Yeah.
He's following the formula and he's taking it to the bank.
Yeah.
I can dig it, but at what point? Well, maybe at no point. It may not ever stop. But for me, like, I don't know. I'm a hip hop head. I want to hear some hip hop, and I also am a world music head. I like different things. Like,
Right.
but like if I want to hear somebody sing a love ballad, I'm not looking for Drake for that. When it comes to his side, I'd rather hear The Weeknd.
But audience, I just encourage everybody to be open to different things and judge each artist, judge them on an album per album basis. Don't hold an artist's past work against them. That's my thing. Here, what we do at Switch Style, or what I would like us to do is judge each album on an individual basis, on its own merit. And so don't hold what happened in the past against this current artist, because it could be worse, it could be better. You never know. But audience, just be open to whatever it is that you hear. And, I encourage people to always look to expand your horizons. But that's all I got. I would recommend it to a friend. If you love Drake, definitely listen to it. But if you don't like Drake, I think there's a lot here that you can like. You guys have anything else? We can go ahead and go. You got any shout outs?
No, shout out to you guys and to my family and friends, the listeners. Thank you for listening. As I say this every week, but I mean it sincerely from my heart. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys. That's it.
What about you?
Pretty much the same. Always appreciate being able to meet together and go ahead and be part of this Switch Style podcast. And I definitely thank and appreciate all the listeners for the listenership. Thank both of y'all.
Audience, thank you for listening to the show. We sincerely appreciate it. And you don't have to listen to the show, because you could be listening to a bunch of other stuff, a lot of other podcasts, a lot of other movies, or however you choose to spend your time. So we definitely appreciate you spending it with us. But thank you, Drake. Thank you to all of his collaborators, everybody who took a part in the album Can't Get It Out. But thank you. We appreciate it. And shout out to all friends and family. Thank you for listening and the support. And that's it for episode 51. So we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.